When it comes to understanding music rhythms, the first thing we do is to think about the division of the different figures. For example, the whole note divides into two half notes, and every half note divides into two quarter notes, and every quarter note divides into two eighth notes, and so on. Well, this is a very useful way of understanding this, but it's not complete. I use a different method. When you listen to music, you start tapping your feet or tapping your hands. That is because we are following the pulse of the music. Most music has that very steady pulse that goes always ta, 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 ta. To represent that pulse, I take one of the figures as a unit. Usually the one is used is the quarter note, and usually they are grouped into four, like this. If I play this is going to sound ta 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 ta. Now what happens if I merge two of them together? Then instead of hitting here, I'm just going to extend the sound. That's going to be ta ta ta. Okay, for sure the people that created the musical language started like this, and they say, okay, this is what we call a tie. If we do this, instead of writing all these symbols here, can we replace this by another symbol? And then is when they created the half note, this. So the result is going to be the same, ta ta ta. For sure one day they had to face a situation in which three notes had to be merged together, and this, instead of sounding ta 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 ta, will sound ta ta. Well, if we do that, there should be another symbol to represent three quarter notes together. For example, we already use the half notes, we cannot use it again, or perhaps we can if we add a dot. That would do to substitute the three quarter notes that are tied together. So this is going to be exactly the same, ta ta. One day we might need to merge all the quarter notes together, so instead of sounding ta 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 ta, this is going to sound ta. In that case, there is another symbol for that, which is going to be the whole note, and that's going to sound ta. One day we might have to split, instead of joining together, split one of the quarter notes. For example, this one. In that case, there is another symbol for that. We just put two eighth notes together, and that is going to sound, instead of sounding ta 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 ta, it's going to sound ta 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 ta. We can do that with other of the quarter notes. For example, this one, and that's going to sound ta 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 ta. Instead of sounding ta 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 ta, it's going to sound ta 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 ta. One day we might have something like this, ta 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 ta. And one day we might want to join these two together, and that's going to sound ta 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 ta. I call it, for my students to understand it, the roast potato. So it's a roast potato. Okay, this here can be replaced by something similar. For example, I take this away and the tie, I keep the 8th note here and I add a dot here. The dot adds half the value of this. For example, if I had an apple with a dot will be equal to an apple plus a half an apple. So by adding a dot to something, we just take an apple with a dot means an apple and a half and an apple. That applies also for what we saw before. If we have a half note and we add a dot, we have the equivalent to 1 half a note plus half of a half a note, which is a quarter note. We might want to add a dot to one of the 8th notes. For example, we have this ta 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 ta, and perhaps we want to do this one a bit longer and this one a bit shorter, something like ta 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 ta. To do that, we have to split this 8th note into a 16th note and extend this 8th note with a dot. So remember the apple with a dot is equal the apple plus half an apple. So an apple with a dot is an apple and an apple and a half. So that is going to be an 8th note and a half of an 8th note. So that's going to sound pa 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 pa. Sometimes we might have to take one of the 8th notes and divide it into 2 16th notes. For example, like this. That is going to sound like this. Ta 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 ta. Sometimes we want these 3 notes here to last exactly the same. In that case, we need to create a new kind of symbol, which is the triplet. So just compare with how this sounds. If I do ta 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 ta, what happens if I want these 3 to sound exactly the same length? Ta 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 ta. Okay, this is gonna be the symbol for that. It's gonna be 3 8 notes, and I'm going to add this little thing here that would guarantee that these 3 last exactly the same. So we need to fit the length of 2 16 notes, we need to fit 3 notes, or in other words, we need to fit 3 notes in the space of 1. 3 notes in the space of 1 quarter note. So something like this, ta 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 ta, will become ta 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 ta, which is different from ta 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 ta. This is ta 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 ta. For many people it's very difficult to actually do it right, because they tend to do what we saw before, ta 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 ta, or ta 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 ta. Okay, so it needs a bit of practice for many people to be able to do this. If you haven't had the experience of playing a lot of triplets, triplets is gonna be a treble at the beginning. So the triplet sound ta 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 ta. To understand music notation, it's a very good idea to be able to take a quarter note and see in how many ways we can represent that. I would say one way is this one. We can replace the space that a quarter note takes by this, or by this, or by 3/8 notes in triplets. We can replace it by this. We can also replace it by this. Four 16th notes all together, taking the space of one quarter note. Or I can take this and do the opposite of that, this. Or I can take this one and perhaps do this, and that would equal to the more common way of writing it, like this. And obviously there are many other ways you can do it. You can start splitting every single one of the notes there and then create an infinitum number of cells that can take the space of one quarter note. Okay, now we're going to test how each one of these ones sounds. We're just going to play all of them one by one in order, like this. And that would be ta 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 ta.